That's more what this is all about, is bringing awareness to us as Black people, but also as a whole, as a community, to say that we're not on the outside, we're just like everybody else.
That was Marcus Johnson, owner of Man Cave Barbershop, talking about Blackout Tuesday back in June. Johnson also recently received a Rise Award from Comcast. Welcome to tonight's In Focus topic on Black-owned businesses in Utah. Joining us now is Michaelle Martial, poet and owner of Caribbean Nightingale. Michaelle, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me, Rosie. It's an honor.
Tell us about yourself and how you've turned your adversity into what is now Caribbean Nightingale.
Well, I started off with my poetry as a way to find some sort of healing, because as we know, the arts have a healing influence, and I am a domestic violence survivor and other trauma survivor. I did lose a child in her sleep some years ago, and it just happened that as I was sharing my poetry, I started to meet people with similar backgrounds, and I felt the desire to continue to share some resources and some words that have uplifted me, and I turned into the Caribbean Nightingale poet.
You have such an incredible story, and I really commend you for taking what you've gone through and using that to help other people in similar situations. Now, what kind of services does your business provide, and what does your clientele look like, or who benefits from the services provided by your business?
Well, when it comes to my clientele, I invite different people from different paths, anybody really that is into the arts and believes in the healing powers of the arts and just wants to take a moment to relax, like the word indicates. And it's not necessarily for the higher echelon of people. It's just people from different walks of life that just want to have a relaxing moment through the arts and love the arts.
Now, have you experienced or ever experienced any challenges, barriers, or difficulties being a Black business owner in Utah?
Well, being yes, that's a very good question. Being not only a Black person but an immigrant, it took me some time to realize how the new rules of business works in a new place, in a new country, in Utah, and also being the immigrant and a Black person into the arts of art forms such as poetry. People don't necessarily, I found that people didn't necessarily open up or take me seriously, you know, and I'm sure that a lot of Black business owners can relate as well. So I've had my share of different situations that were not favorable for Black business owners.
Now, we know that 2020 has been quite a year for social justice movements. How has that impacted maybe your business, or is there a need for your type of services with everything that's been going on this year?
Well, 2020 has been rough for all of us, I would say. And with the business side, although I only registered my business in the state of Utah a couple months ago, but I have been involved doing a poetry salon called Relaxation Through Verse. And because of the pandemic, we have not been able to host any of those events, unfortunately, this year. Because in its nature, this event is an in-person event, because we want to convey the feel of just an intimate setting that you welcome into our own living room. And we have been affected by that, because we have not been able to do any event yet this year, any formal event. And I look forward to getting some more things launched online so that we can promote the arts and diversity in the state of Utah, and that would be great.
Definitely. Unfortunately, we're almost out of time. I do want you to be able to share with us, how can our viewers find you, or how can they find more information if they want to get connected with you?
Well, I invite our viewers to go to our website, which is www.caribbean, that's one R, two B's, Caribbean-Nightingale.com, and to go to our newly launched store, which is tiglaboutique.online, and that's spelled Tigla boutique.online. And please, also, you're welcome to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and welcome.
And that was Michaelle Martial, poet and owner of Caribbean Nightingale. Thank you so much for being here and spending your Wednesday evening with us.
Thank you very much, Rosie, for having me, and I look forward to seeing you later.
The black dollar only doesn't circulate very far because we don't own businesses, but there's more and more people starting businesses.
That was Kelli of the Northern Utah Black Lives Matter chapter talking about Blackout Tuesday and supporting Black-owned businesses. Thanks for staying with us for our second In Focus segment on Black-owned businesses in Utah. Joining us live in studio is Kelli Ulrey, owner of Pretty Please Teethers. Hey Kelli, it's so great to have you here tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and thank you Comcast Rice for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah, tell us about yourself and the personal experience that you had that led to the idea and creation of Pretty Please Teethers.
Of course. So I actually started this my company with one mission in mind, and that was just to find a safe, stylish, and modern design for my little guy. Something that just fit my modern and minimalist style, which seems super easy to find, or you would think would be, but it was harder than I expected. So while I was pregnant on bed rest with HD, I decided since I couldn't find what I wanted, I was gonna make it. And since then, I've been making teethers and teething accessories.
I absolutely love that you had a problem and you came up with the solution to your problem, and now you have a successful business coming out of it.
Yes.
Now, did you encounter any challenges, barriers, or difficulties on your entrepreneur journey?
Yes, just like every business owner, there's several different difficulties that you run into. I felt like with my business, it was really hard for me, especially since I started it with only $500 in my pocket, just to get my name out and I can't talk, just to get my name out there and to just spread the awareness of what my products handle.
Now, I grew up in like an entrepreneur family, so I understand the struggle. Now, how has the response been to your business? I understand that you've been working full-time on your business for a few years now.
I have, yeah. Since 2018, I left my job in retail and have been working with Pretty Please Teether, which was just a huge opportunity, a huge risk that I took, and we've been successful since then.
Now, has your business been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic at all?
When I started my business, I was able to start it off to where we were already social distancing with my workers as well as myself. So we didn't come into the difficulties that others have as far as trying to tackle that. We actually have been able to successfully work through COVID and haven't had that much of an impact.
Now, is there any advice that you could share to other aspiring business owners of color who could use some guidance on how to thrive in Utah?
Absolutely. Just don't give up. Keep working, stick it, put your feet in the ground, and just work hard on what you want. Create a unique brand, and people will come to you.
I want to give you the final words. How can our viewers find more information about you and your business? Anything else that you'd like to say before we wrap?
Absolutely. You can find us at prettypleaseteethers.com. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Pretty Please Teethers.
All right. You've been hearing from Kelli Ulrey, owner of Pretty Please Teether. Kelli, thank you so much for joining us on the show. We really enjoyed having you.
Yes. Thank you again for having us.
If you want to be able to stand in solidarity in a protest, stand in solidarity on your social, but also stand in solidarity where it counts, which is with your money.
That was Karen Rodriguez, founder and CEO of Code in Color, calling for support of Blackout Tuesday when many Black Americans showcase their impact on the economy by not spending any money. And if they do buy something, they are encouraged to support Black-owned business. Thanks for staying with us for tonight's third In Focus segment on Black-owned businesses in Utah. Joining us tonight via Zoom is James Jackson III, the founder and executive director for the Utah Black Chamber. James, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Hey, thanks, Rosie, for having me.
James, let's start out with, do you have any idea approximately how many Black-owned businesses we have in Utah?
You know, it's been a question that we've been trying to answer since I founded the Black Chamber almost 11 years ago. I think pre-COVID, we were guesstimating around 300 to 400 Black-owned businesses. But you know, with the impact of the pandemic, we unfortunately see that number dwindling pretty quickly.
Okay, so one of, I'm guessing, the goals is to maybe find a way to measure how many Black-owned businesses there are in Utah. I want to learn a little bit more about the Utah Black Chamber. You said you founded it more than a decade ago, and when I was doing some research on you guys, you've gone through quite a few names. So tell me about the Utah Black Chamber, what the purpose, mission, objective is, and where you guys are now.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we're on our 11th year right now, and it's crazy as it sounds, this has been our biggest year yet. Our membership growth increased significantly with the focus on one, increasing the Black-owned businesses in Utah, providing them education, resources, and visibility so they can grow, and also build a pipeline of diversity for all the corporations here in Utah. You know, as we all know that diversity adds dividends, and so we want to be able to be that guide, that mentor, that navigator to help introduce companies to the diverse population here in Utah.
How much has the chamber grown in the past 10 years?
So, yeah, well, it's a great question. You know, when I started the Black Chamber, being the small population we had back in 2009, when 0.8% of the community was Black, and I felt like every Black family knew every other Black family, I thought, you know, maybe we'll just have about 100 members. And now here we are, you know, 11 years later, we're eclipsing near 250 active members. And by next year, we'll be expanding across the whole Utah footprint. And we're projected to have about 500 members by the end of 2021.
That's incredible. Now, when it comes to highlighting Black-owned businesses, some people have asked, why not highlight all businesses? Why specifically Black-owned businesses? Tell me about why there's a need to push for more Black-owned businesses and community support.
Well, we've seen it happen this year, right? With the pandemic, it kind of showed the systemic barriers that exist with Black, Indigenous, people of color, those type of businesses. You know, the access, the resources, the education simply just wasn't there. And so it's important that we do go out and support. That dollar doesn't go very far with a community so small. And so if you want to look at trying to close the racial wealth gap, look at creating more jobs within the diverse communities, increasing the wealth within those communities, get them the ability to purchase homes and grow, that's why it's important to start looking at these Black-owned businesses and supporting them that way.
Yeah, I want to talk about the significance of social justice movements this year and how that's brought a spotlight onto Black-owned businesses. Also, maybe looping in Blackout Tuesday. Can you talk about some of those effects? Did that really have an impact on our local Black-owned businesses?
Absolutely. When after the murder of George Floyd, it was just a few days later that we were receiving calls, emails, social media outreach left and right about where can I find the Black-owned businesses. And we felt we had a pretty strong directory, but you know, being in Utah, not all of our members are Black. You don't have to be a Black-owned business to be a member of the Black Chamber. And so we partnered up a podium, and they helped us create a directory for all the Black-owned businesses, because people are looking, where can I go to support a Black-owned business? Where are the, you know, can I use a company for this? Can I use it? Where is there a Black-owned company for this type of service or product? And so around beginning of July, we launched UtahBlackPages.com, which right now I think only has about half of the Black-owned businesses on that directory right now. It's a free directory, so any Black-owned businesses can go on there, register themselves, because we have a lot of companies reaching out to us using that website for a lot of the diverse supplier relationships, finding opportunities to support, and being that we're in the holiday season, it's a great opportunity for people to find those Black-owned businesses using that website. And we also put a guide on our Instagram page for highlighting some Black-owned businesses as well.
I absolutely love that there's a resource for people to find Black-owned businesses. James, you touched on this earlier in the conversation about the impact that COVID-19 has had. Can we expand on that a little bit? What have you observed? I know that, yes, all of us have been impacted by the pandemic one way or another. Is there anything that you're seeing specifically with our Black entrepreneurs?
Absolutely. The research shows that 41% of Black-owned businesses shuttered or closed their doors due to COVID-19, as compared to 17% of white businesses. So we see the severe impact of Black-owned businesses, and it really comes down to that lack of access and to a lot of the grants and loans that are available. Everybody thought the PPP was a great program, but when you think about, speaking with just the Black-owned businesses here in Utah, most of them have less than 5 employees. And so when you have a grant loan program that's tied to employees, the money didn't go as far for Black-owned businesses. And so we were working with a lot of the other chambers and other government entities to find out what other type of grants can we help support for the money to go a little bit longer for them to sustain. But unfortunately, we're not going to see a lot of Black businesses reopen again. However, we do see that there are many Black businesses that are coming out of this. A lot of problems that were there that existed. There is a Black-owned company that's putting together a lot of PPE equipment to share, and that's selling right now. So there's a lot of opportunities as well that the Black community is looking at and taking advantage of.
I love that there's a community, though, and I love that there's a chamber to help and provide support for our entrepreneurs. James, where can members go, members of the public go, if they'd like more information about the Utah Black Chamber, if they want more information about what you guys do, or to get connected? Where can they find you?
Yeah, they can find us online, utahblackchamber.com. We're also on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And also, shameless plug, 3 o'clock Friday afternoon via Zoom. We're having a stakeholders meeting, kind of recapping what we've been able to do over this year and what the resources we've gained and pushing forward into 2021 to create stronger programming, events, projects that we can help our Black community sustain and grow a lot better with what's been going on over this past year. So we're excited to announce that. Also, you can go to utahblackpages.com once again to find the growing directory of Black-owned businesses.
Now, you've been hearing from James Jackson, the founder and executive director for the Utah Black Chamber. James, thank you so much for being on the show. We really enjoyed having you.
Thanks, Rosie, for having me. I appreciate it.